In the early years of the 16th century, Florence was alive with ambition. Merchants built fortunes from silk and banking. Churches competed for grand commissions. Artists transformed stone and pigment into symbols of civic pride. Portraits had become more than family keepsakes. They were declarations of success, permanence, and identity. Somewhere within this thriving city lived Lisa Gherardini, a woman from an old Florentine family. She married Francesco del Giocondo, a prosperous silk merchant whose growing status reflected the confidence of Florence itself. At some point around 1503, Leonardo da Vinci was commissioned to paint her portrait. The exact reason remains uncertain. Many historians believe it celebrated the purchase of a new home or the birth of a child. Both explanations fit the customs of the time, though neither can be proven with complete certainty. On the surface, there was nothing extraordinary about the request. A merchant wanted a portrait of his wife. Leonardo accepted, and history quietly began to change. At first, everything followed familiar expectations. A sitter would pose. An artist would sketch. Pigments would be prepared. Layers of paint would gradually reveal a likeness worthy of the patron's home. Once complete, the painting would be delivered, payment settled, and both artist and client would move on. But Leonardo wasn't finished. In fact, he would never truly finish. For reasons that remain one of art history's most enduring puzzles, the portrait never reached Francesco del Giocondo. Instead, Leonardo kept it beside him. As the years unfolded, the painting followed him from Florence to Milan. Later, it traveled to Rome. Eventually, it crossed the Alps into France during the final years of his life. A commission had become a companion. Historians still debate why. Some scholars argue that Leonardo's perfectionism prevented him from declaring the work complete. Contemporary accounts describe him as someone who often delayed finishing commissions, endlessly refining ideas that fascinated him. Others believe the portrait had evolved beyond its commercial purpose. It was no longer simply Lisa Gherardini's likeness. It had become Leonardo's laboratory, a place where he could test his deepest theories about vision, light, anatomy, and perception. There is evidence supporting this interpretation, though not proof beyond doubt. What is certain is that Leonardo continued working on the painting for years. Years passed, and the painting stayed with him. Imagine the quiet rhythm of his workshop. Pigments ground by hand into fine powder, linseed oil catching the glow of candlelight, dust drifting through still air, pages of anatomical sketches scattered beside engineering diagrams, half-finished inventions leaning against walls, and resting nearby, always nearby, the portrait, not abandoned, not completed, waiting. Leonardo would approach it again and again with extraordinary patience. His brush barely touched the wooden panel. Instead of dramatic changes, he added layers so thin they were almost invisible. Transparent films of paint settled gently over earlier ones, softening edges, shifting shadows, altering transitions too subtle for an observer to notice in isolation. Then modern technology revealed something unexpected. Infrared imaging, multispectral analysis, and microscopic examination have shown that the painting contains an intricate sequence of layered glazes built over an extended period. Researchers continue to debate the precise number of revisions, but there is broad agreement that the surface evolved gradually rather than appearing all at once. What seems effortless today is the result of countless nearly imperceptible decisions accumulated across many years. No single brushstroke created the illusion. Time did. Leonardo's mastery of sfumato reached its highest expression here. The Italian word suggests something like vanished into smoke. Instead of drawing sharp outlines, he allowed forms to dissolve gently into one another. Light faded into darkness without obvious borders. Flesh blended into shadow. Corners of the mouth disappeared into delicate transitions. The eyes emerged from soft gradients rather than firm lines. Nothing looked mechanical. Everything seemed alive. The remarkable effect is not merely technical. It changes the way our own brains interpret the face. Human vision naturally searches for edges and contrasts. Leonardo minimized both. As a result, expression becomes unstable. The portrait appears different depending on distance, lighting, and exactly where the viewer looks. He wasn't simply painting features. He was painting perception itself. This distinction may explain why the portrait refused to let him go. Leonardo had spent decades studying optics. He dissected human eyes. He investigated how light entered them, how shadows shaped form, and how depth emerged from subtle differences in brightness. He filled notebooks with observations about rivers, clouds, muscles, and expressions, believing that nature obeyed discoverable principles. The portrait offered something extraordinary. It allowed those principles to meet. A human face became the perfect experiment. Not everyone agrees that this was Leonardo's primary intention. Many art historians caution against reducing the painting to a scientific exercise. They emphasize that it remained, first and foremost, a portrait of a real woman painted within the traditions of Renaissance Florence. Yet, even among those scholars, there is widespread recognition that Leonardo pushed those traditions further than anyone before him. The commission became something larger. The woman remained. But the painting began asking questions no ordinary portrait had ever asked. Can stillness feel alive? Can painted skin seem to breathe? Can emotion exist without revealing itself completely? Leonardo returned to those questions over and over. Yet the greatest mystery wasn't hidden beneath the paint. It was hidden in Leonardo's decision to never let the painting leave his side. Think about what that meant. Other artists relied on completed commissions for income and reputation. Leonardo certainly needed both at different moments in his career. Yet this painting remained with him despite opportunities to finish the transaction. There is no surviving document explaining the choice. No letter offers a definitive answer. No diary records his reasoning. Only silence. And the portrait itself. As Leonardo aged, kingdoms changed around him. Political alliances shifted. Wars reshaped Italy. Patrons came and went. Younger artists rose to prominence. Still, somewhere among his belongings traveled the same wooden panel, protected with unusual care. The face grew older only through his hand. Its expression remained suspended somewhere between one emotion and another. Perhaps that was precisely the point. Or perhaps it was simply the consequence of an artist who never stopped searching. No one can say with certainty. That uncertainty has become part of the masterpiece itself. Modern viewers often search for a hidden message, a secret code, or a dramatic revelation buried beneath the surface. Yet the evidence suggests something more fascinating. The greatest achievement may not be something concealed inside the painting. It may be the painting's ability to keep changing inside us. Every delicate glaze, every softened shadow, every nearly invisible adjustment invites the eye to look again. And every time we do, the portrait seems just slightly different from the moment before. Not because it changed, because we did. By the time Leonardo finally laid down his brush for the last time, the world had gained far more than a portrait. It had gained an illusion. One so convincing that, 5 centuries later, scientists, artists, and millions of visitors still cannot fully agree on what they are actually seeing. To understand why, we have to look far more closely than the human eye was ever meant to.